I'm Tawfik in Washington, and this is BBC World News America. Ukraine comes under a barrage of Russian missile strikes. Ukrainians are forced underground, its energy grid once again under attack.
No matter what the missile worshippers from Moscow are hoping for, it still won't change the balance of power in this war.
As protests across Iran enter their fourth month, we hear from those putting their lives at risk confronting the regime.
We decided to join the protest. We vowed, even if we face death, we will continue.
Also on the program, how Antwerp became the cocaine gateway to Europe. We have a special report. And as the World Cup in Qatar draws to a close, the president of FIFA says it's been the best ever. Welcome to World News America on PBS and around the globe. Russia has subjected Ukraine to another devastating wave of missile strikes, with civilian infrastructure targeted and at least 3 people reported to have been killed. The attacks were right across the country, including multiple assaults on the capital, Kyiv, and President Zelensky's hometown of Kryvyi Rih. 9 energy plants were hit, leading to blackouts. The mayor of the second largest city, Kharkiv, says there's been colossal damage, leaving thousands without heating as temperatures in the harsh Ukrainian winter plummet. Our Eastern Europe correspondent Sarah Rainsford has the latest. Well, in his nightly address, the Ukrainian leader warned that Russia was capable of further massive strikes. Well, Colonel Mark Kansian is a senior advisor at the Center for Strategic and International Studies and a U.S. Marine Corps veteran. Thanks for being with us. It looks now, after months of, delays, that the United States is planning to send those Patriot missile systems. But there could be, in your opinion, what difference could that make to the war? Because there's the training involved in that, and it does have limited effectiveness, right? All right, Colonel Kansian, thank you so much for that assessment.
Thanks for having me on the show.
Now, protests across Iran, sparked by the death in police custody of the 22-year-old woman Mahsa Amini, have entered their 4th month. Thousands of people marched in the southeastern city of Zahedan, denouncing Iranian security forces for their violent suppression of protests in the city in October. In his latest speech, Iran's President Ebrahim Raisi claimed that foreign forces were behind the protests. Iran's expulsion from a UN commission on the status of women drew criticism in Friday's sermons. Now, in the past 3 months, hundreds of protesters who were wounded in the demonstrations have been arrested in their hospital beds. The BBC's J.R. Gol now tells the story of an injured protester who recently escaped Iran. And a warning, his report contains distressing images. Well, let's take a look at some other news now. President Cyril Ramaphosa of South Africa has been heckled as he addressed his own ANC party conference. Ramaphosa, who's hoping to be re-elected as party leader, avoided impeachment proceedings earlier this week over a scandal involving millions of dollars found hidden in a sofa at his farm. A landslide that engulfed a campsite close to the Malaysian capital, Kuala Lumpur, is known to have killed at least 21 people. About a dozen others are still unaccounted for. Mud, rocks, and trees swept down a hillside at the site on a farm in the early hours of the morning as people slept in their tents. The United Nations, the European Union, and a media rights group have all criticized Twitter's owner, Elon Musk. Musk closed the accounts of several prominent journalists. Some had criticized Musk's takeover of Twitter or tweeted about a recently blocked account that publicly shared the whereabouts of Musk's private jet. NASA has launched the first ever mission to survey all of the Earth's surface of waters from space. The mission will use radar technology to measure the elevation of water and how lakes, rivers, and oceans change over time. The data will be used to improve weather and climate predictions. Now, a giant freestanding aquarium in Berlin containing 1,500 exotic fish has exploded, leaving behind a wave of destruction. The tank, which was 14 meters high, was a well-known tourist attraction on show in the lobby of a luxury hotel. Jenny Hill in Berlin has the story. Well, turning to Belgium, customs officials at the port of Antwerp say they're on course to seize a record amount of cocaine this year. The city is now where 40% of all cocaine detections in the EU are being made. Police in Europe claimed earlier this month that they'd smashed one of the biggest drug smuggling gangs, but the BBC has been told corruption among officials and violence are on the rise in Belgium, with cocaine being more available for users on the continent. From Antwerp, our Europe correspondent Nick Beek sent this special report. The president of football's governing body has described the World Cup in Qatar as the best ever. Gianni Infantino told reporters that FIFA had kept away political messaging to give fans what he called a little moment of pleasure and joy. But the tournament has also been beset by controversies, in particular the deaths of large numbers of migrant construction workers. Let's have a listen to some of what Mr. Infantino had to say. Well, on the field, there have been many exciting matches. The last two games are this weekend, including the final on Sunday between Argentina and France. Roberto Rojas has been following the World Cup with us, and he joins me now from San Lorenzo in Paraguay. Thanks so much for being with us. I mean, as you look back at these last few matches, do you think the action on the field has shown brighter than some of the politics and controversies leading up to the tournament? All right, we'll see if Argentina does take it with Messi. Thank you so much, Roberto Rojas, there for us. Now, I'm sure many of you at home are getting ready for the upcoming holidays. Let's take a look at Santa starting his rounds as Christmas approaches. Some impressive Santas there, but I noticed not all had beards. Well, remember, you can find more on all the day's news at our website. Plus, to see what we're working on at any time, make sure to check us out on Twitter. I'd love to hear from you. I'm Neda Tawfik. Thank you for watching World News America, and have a great weekend.
Hello. The last 3 or 4 weeks have seen some exceptionally wet weather being thrown across the southern half of Europe.